today's we are going to just observe the fact that I have read some of the conversations, I have read some of the YouTube comments, and I have found that still that there is a confusion about the identity, so that you still think that when you're in the practice that you have to become another spiritual identity. So therefore you will associate with the same perception of I'm spiritual, I will associate with these people. But in that very moment, you still have a separation. So that is also does not belong to the awareness. It has also is mimicking another level of identity, and you're letting go of your past and you're letting go of your future from that past, but then you're creating another level of identity. So you have to be very careful that today's practice is just even that thought that comes that I am spiritual is the separation from the truth. And the other question was, I have met my soulmate. It's a very common question that I get. When you falling in love, you share the space of the being, so that two people are coming to share the space of the being. Otherwise, it will also go back to the separation of you have to make me happy, or I have to do this for you. So that's also the part of the practice that we are going to go further. So best thing is, if there is a question and inquiry, just ask yourself whether you're seeing yourself separate. That's then you have an opposition to fight with, or to deal with, or opposite to fight, prove it. So now, saying that very gently, take asana that allowing you to not get pulled by the triggers of the mind, the identities of the mind. So take a couple of deep breaths. And I'll move the camera towards Darren. And shoulders very gently roll back to release that tension that you are holding from a past, or from you're constantly running towards the future because you think that things have to change for you to have a better life. And this is the coming into that place of I am okay, but that I am okay is just in the space of isness, amness. It doesn't have a strong anchoring into that your old stress, your future stress. So it's the living starts right now in this very moment. And now very gently stretch the neck to the right side. Very gently take another deep breath in. Keep that elongation happening. Stretch the neck onto the other side. Nothing else really matters. Breathing in back into the center. So because you stop the switch of the fan doesn't mean that it's not propelling. So images come and go, as do sensation. But in this open space, that the transient experience, just passing scenery. Take that deep breath in and twist the spine to the left. Just think that the body is passing through this movement where you're just watching, even you're doing things, you're watching. Scenery of the body moving, scenery of the breath moving, scenery of the thought moving. But your participation is there, whether you participate on a motion or stillness. Breathing in back into the center, change the leg formation and twisting the spine to the right side on the out breath. If the attention wanders all over that scenery of the body, scenery of the breath, scenery of the mind, breathing in, your awareness stays where it has always been. That constant space of amness without the judgment. This absence of the judgment is very liberating, which is why it is one of the major part of this practice. Now take a deep breath in, gently breathe out and collapse the spine, curving the spine. Breathing in, shoulders roll back, opening up into that space of the belly, into the cow. Breathing in back into the center. Now very gently, shoulders relax and chest open. Now arms raise onto the ground, interlacing the fingers, palms facing up. Keep that hips grounded onto the floor. Give that extension on each and every vertebrae. Now stretch the body towards the left. More than a twist, it's just stretching towards the left. Breathing in back to the center. On to the right. Breathing in back into the center. Spread the wings wider and release that tension. More of the shoulder blades, shoulders. See whether there is no demand in the body, demand in the mind. Now take that deep breath in and very gently walk those palms into the front and try to drop the elbows. Try to keep the seating bones very gently releasing that tension, making you feel tightening, making your body is in a place of suffocation. So just now, where is the judge? Worry comes from the judgment. So you have released the judgment. So the parts of the mind and the body together is in the space of not knowing. But if you are a habitual warrior, you have altered the pathways in your brain over time by the practice. Pathways are born out of the habit, but that habit is now replaced by a practice, so it is changing. Breathing in very gently, coming back. Shoulders relax and chest open. Now very gently, left leg stretch into the back, opening up that state of the hip. Shoulders roll back, opening up the chest. Take that deep breath in and drop the elbows and walk those palms into the front. Release the tension. So don't allow your brain just to have that worry path. Same goes to the depression path. Constantly you're finding information to persist, and it has a strong effect on your brain. And when your brain is left alone, it runs back into that depression, runs back into that worry. But one thing good about this is a mechanism, so it can self-transform. Now take a deep breath in. Bring that energy of the consciousness, the light, into those dark places, coming back. Now take that deep breath in, shoulders relax into a plank. Strong on the pelvic floor, keeping the tension of the spine not so tight but open. Drop the knees, stretch the spine on the out breath into the back, crawling and bringing the chest into the front. Drop the belly and very gently breathing into that consciousness of openingness into the cobra. Just overlooking onto the left side, breathing in back into the center, overlooking onto the right side, breathing in back into the center. Breathing in, relax the third eye onto the floor. So your level of the body and the mind, especially the brain, it's like a vehicle, and you have to put the ignition to run it. And it runs in a purpose of a dual control, which means that it obeys both conscious. It also listens to the unconscious impulse. The unconscious process constantly will also goes without your instructions. So if you have no awareness, with your help, you could see that. If you don't have awareness of your digestion or food, you could see that. Now take a deep breath in, gently coming back. So understand the polarity of the mind. Either it's conscious or it's unconscious. Breathe out onto a down face. When you're ready. So we are bringing this, what is yoga is bringing these polarities into a balance. And it is, everyone is different. Breathing in left leg up into the back. Give a good rotation to the left foot, left knee, onto the chest. Breathe out. Breathing in, stretch back. Left knee onto the left elbow. Breathe out. Breathing into the stretch back. Left knee onto the right elbow. Breathe out. Breathing in, stretch back. Left foot into the front. Arms very gently stretch back, holding on to the opposite elbows if you can. Shoulders roll back, lift up the chest. Breathing in, arms raise onto the crown. 6 deep cycles of breath. Just bathing in the breath, bathing in the ritual. So that you're conscious about the breath. Is very much connected to your nerves. So your breathing can tell you whether you are in the fight, stress, or tension. Now very gently turning onto the right side and opening up into the Virabhadrasana. A gentle mudra on the left, that you're conscious about this body-mind, conscious. Gentle arch. Breathing in back into the center. Now very gently bringing that right arm in the back onto the floor and left arm reaching up. Now very gently stretching that leg into the back. Keep that breathing. Be conscious about the left arm up, right arm on the floor, left arm reaching into the back and have a more open to touch the floor. Into a plank. Onto the knees and very gently stretch the spine, releasing that tension of that struggle, getting pulled into polarities. Palms facing down, crawling and bringing the chest into the front. Take that deep breath in, gentle, up face this time. Raising. Breathe out towards the down face. Breathing in, right leg up into the back. Give a rotation to that foot, see whether there's anything suddenly is holding into that place. Right knee onto the right chest, breathe out. Stretch back, right knee onto the right elbow, breathe out. Breathing in, stretch back, right knee to the left elbow, breathe out. Breathing in, stretch back. Take that stretch very well. Right foot into the front. Arm stretching to the back, holding onto the opposite elbows. Shoulders roll back. Back of the neck is aligning. Back of the head is not tilting forward. Just a little bit higher. Arm stretch into the front, lengthening to come up. Spread the wings wider, 6 deep cycles of breath. Each out breath is letting go. Something that no longer needs to be there. Use the breath as a barometer. Interlacing the fingers, turning onto the left, opening up into the Virabhadrasana, taking a mudra as a reminder of I am the passenger, body and the mind and the breath moving through the scenery. So if the practice was not there, unconsciously your habits will pull you into the stress. The world is not in a better place. The health system is not in the better place. Countries are not in the better place. That when you're not conscious, your unconscious runs you. Not that it has bias towards anyone. So bring that light of awareness into those areas. What is the least resistant? If the worry helps you, worry. Gentle arch. Breathing in, coming back into the center. Now remember, we are going to do the same thing. Left arm reaching onto the floor, right arm reaching up as a twist. And experience it more. right, reaching into the back, touch the floor. Into a plank. Drop the knees. Stretch the spine. Crawling and bringing the chest into the front. Take a deep breath in, coming into a gentle up face. Breathe out towards the down face. Now very gently take a deep breath in. If you feel like this position, drop your elbows onto the floor. And very gently coming into a plank from that elbows. Holding the stomach muscle. This is really good for the energy of the digestion, energy of the spine. Breathe. Now very gently drop the knees. From the elbow, stretching the spine into the back. Palms facing up. Release the tension. Now you can understand without the separation of the judgment. You could see the infinite space as the ocean. Thoughts and emotions or the perceptions of the difference is like waves coming up. Maybe waves see each other as different, but it drops back when you are conscious back into the space of the ocean. But it can also rise from the same realization and understanding, but does not get caught up in the matter. So if you're seeing yourself as this body and the mind, that is still identification. And nowadays, a lot of people take lots of identification. People take identification according to their race, according to males and females, and so on and so on. But when you take a perception, you have also has become separated from the other. So give time to connect to this unboundedness, the real true about you. Practice is nothing other than taking you closer and closer into that space. A mind does not bound, which is the whole space. When you take something as your identity or something different to you, it is a limitation. So more of you go into this practice, you're falling away from that limitation. Like you're falling away from the limitation of an ocean wave. And you realize how unnecessary it is for the mind to impose so many boundaries on itself. Some people have about the work, some people have about the relationship. Now go back to the child pose and drop the bum a little bit more onto the heels. Now keep that crown of the head closer to the knees and knees together. Now take a deep breath in, interlacing the fingers. If it is too hard, don't do it. Stretch up the shoulders and roll onto the crown of the head to activate the pituitary and the pineal energy. That realizes it's unnecessary and waking up. Roll back onto the third eye, fist on the third eye. And suddenly you see beyond seeing. Only your vision of the eyes have boundaries so that you can talk about language and the separation. Now waking up makes you realize how pointless boundaries are or separation. So now you are in the path of the truth. Now, if you really see the path of the truth, it's not even a process. It is of the truth of your being. So happiness cannot be achieved, but you stop, as the Buddhism says, suffering. Unnecessary suffering that comes from bondage, comes from separation. Wake up the spine one vertebra at a time, very gently. When you come into that realization, let you relax into the space of the truth. Now, can you take the direction without the direction? For a brief moment, you can sense that your consciousness and infinity doesn't talk to you, only the finity talks to you. Now very gently come onto the knees. Right arm roll back few times to open up that right shoulder blade, right hip, few times. Now a circle of the arm, few times. Now a bigger circle, right arm reaching into the front, up to the ceiling. Come down again, right arm reaching up to the ceiling and warm it up. Now do the same for the left side. Now let's move into the Uttanasana, the camel pose. I just want your body to disappear from this state and appear on that state. Unbounded by the before state. No need to cause anything to force it, but existing all by itself. When you're ready, even the hips or into the heels. Now take a deep breath in and open up that experience. Gently support the hips. Go back into the gentle child pose. The pose free from previous. Change is the new you. So where is the total pinnacle of the consciousness? It's really where it counts, which is now, in this space here. But human minds love suffering, so they question, what is next? And it opens up again to go back into that roller coaster of, if there is negative questions, comes as first as questioning. So it's quite fair to come those. But when you get into the loop of it, you get pulled out of your truth. Now take a deep breath in, very gently coming back. Wake up the spine gently, one vertebra at a time. Shoulders relax and chest open. Very gently. So see where you have got stuck, but now you can see the stuck without entertaining it. So see, mind creates the problem. Realization have answers. Answers means flow without the touch, without getting stuck. Now, the practice is very important because some of you are asking like, how long should I practice? Not you guys, but in generally people who are joining through YouTube. Because you build consciousness to take care of your life without getting pulled back into your identity. Now very gently stretch the legs into the front. Shoulders relax and chest open. Now give a good rotation to the feet and really bring that awareness onto the toes. Spread the toes, point the feet, flex the feet. Every thought patterns that your mind runs has created a psychosomatic. That's why trauma does live also in the body. That's why we have people up to today wounded by certain things. Now take a deep breath in, pull out the buttocks, bend the knees slightly so you don't have to push it too hard. Arms raise onto the ground, rolling into the front. Now the idea is to get the lower belly, middle chest, upper chest, and then only you trigger the arms to stretch forward. It's not a pulling, it's coming into the space of grounding. And your head and neck is totally relaxed. So what we are doing is we are opening up the energy centers so that if there is anything that's stuck as the energy, it builds that stuck area matter. In other words, maybe what we call ill health. So at this very moment, you could see that we are consist of good and bad, and maybe confusion also. So we alone cannot trigger them. Somewhere we have to blame it. A person, a country, a situation, a source of war, crime, violence, and then you start hammering yourself with it. So very gently be careful of that body. Allow the practice to give that, giving away to that space, which you come into full by anger, resentment, envy, revenge, intolerance, fear. Because you could see these things are happening. Even the thrill of violence, you could see. I don't have to name it. So practical ways when you're stuck in there, come back to the practice. Breathing in, arm stretch, lengthening to come up. Gentle arch palms onto the floor, lift up the buttocks. If you're stronger, you can stretch the legs and allow that energy to rise. Very gently coming back. Knees to the chest, completely breathe out. Breathing in, arms raise onto the ground, stretch the legs into the front. Breathe out, knees to the chest. Breathing in. Breathe out. Breathing in. Breathe out. Breathing in. Breathe out, knees to the chest. Now relax and stretch the legs into the front. Now very gently bringing that left knee onto the chest. Keep your shoulders rolled back, left foot onto the right side. Take a deep breath in, right arm reaching, left arm reaching up onto the floor into the back. Then right arm reaching up and bringing that right elbow next to your knee. And taking a mudra. Now flex the foot. Become aware of the whole body, the rhythm, the flow of consciousness. Taking care of this until we interfere with it. So who are the cause and at the same time the victim of what? But when you get stuck, so mind doesn't know. Mind can indulge in the space of conscious or the activity that hurts it the most. So if you want to really free yourself, let's not interfere on the logic. Just for a time being, just let it think about the God, and the opposite to the God is all theories. Breathing in, coming back, releasing the tension. Letting go, letting unstuck this body and release those things that you have created with your unconsciousness. But you have a very good reason to create it. You might say it's security. It's thinking about the future. You might say it's protection. You might say that certain things are failing to look after you. Now to the other side, the same posture. So you bring that right foot onto the left side. You flex the left foot. Take a deep breath. I like my shoulders to go on a big circles to open it up. So it allows, especially with my limitation, to open up into those places of shadows. Focus on getting back to the flow, not getting stuck. When you question the authorities, when you question the health, when you question the finance, you get stuck. So practice is freeing yourself from. So when your fear passing through, you're allowing the body, your anger. Now, if even they come up, you have accomplished something greater. Take a deep breath in. Very gently coming back, shoulders relax. Now sole of the feet together, butterflying very gently, opening up that space very gently. Now very gently under the ankles, locking onto the toes, walking the bum back and coming into the space of Kumarasana. So ideal to put a cushion so that you don't face too much or force too much. Even a block so that you keep your head and neck and shoulders pull back open. Take the posture in a place of betterness. We unconsciously even can cling up to the asana too much. So take that gentle breath to release that compulsive behaviors, obsessive thoughts. They all need the breath. Breath of self-judgment, breath of shame, breath of guilt, because they all have a different tempo. Breath of damaged self-esteem. So when you bring that flow, the denial, the avoidance, what's wrong, repression, I want you to breathe that gentle breath that is not stuck and promoting and growing that repression, pushing unwanted impulses. Breathing in very gently, coming back, shoulders relaxed, chest open. You also have to understand, by having a problem with the separation, blaming, hating, also does not help. And feeling bad about yourself is also making this problem worse. Now shoulders relax and the chest open. I want you to just spend 2 minutes in the space of your realization. So now there is no other. There is no blame to someone else. There is no need to go back to the person that has created something for you worse. So just observe even the breath. Suddenly we have stopped the switch of the fan. It does not mean that the propelling is stopped. So you might have a thought and you might want to answer out of self-defense. You may feeling powerless. You may be feeling, even people are living in houses, and I always say, and they are talking about their mortgage. I understand what's going on. But before their time, this hopelessness making them homeless. Home is really within yourself. So take that every breath that you have built, this empire of protection is now suffocating. When you come into that space, releasing this hurting or being hurt, situations that you feel that your anger and resentment and powerlessness, no hope, are all created, which is done by unconsciousness. And now you could see a lot of people behave through this defense, fighting back, putting up with situation, going into denial, because they're stuck in their identification, in their story. Now coming into your source, your truth, allow that awareness to expand. You today, together, we have discovered the truth. Arms very gently raised back to the crown, cleansing the space of the aura. And giving this energy into the space of living, space of the state, space of the ecology. Protecting your crown chakra, third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus. Arms very gently raised back to the ground. Palms onto the floor. Touch the earth. Respect that we are just like a wave coming out of the ocean. But now, even in the wave, we have realized the source of our truth. Gently coming out of the practice. Palms onto the namaskara position in self-realization. Namaste. Good to see Marie and Sage. So today's class was very powerful.